Hello, this is Dom Rivera of Latin Chronicles. Right now I have with me Mr. Matt Clemente of MDN Dance Studios located in Belleville, New Jersey.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much again for having us here and being able to talk to us.
Thank you.
Yes, again, I want you to see is that you are one of the very few dancers that I see in this scene that just has a vintage, rich look to you. And it's very captivating.
Okay.
It's actually inspiring, and you have such a, how should I say, gentleman look to you that can, be
the hair.
admiring
It's
to,
the
yes,
hair.
it's the hair, it's the hair. And one thing I really noticed recently was that you had a performance at Madison Square Garden with, directed by, I would say, Eddie Torres Jr.
Yep.
and Tito Puente Jr.
Amazing.
That right there, I believe, was historic.
Yeah, he literally followed his father's legacy and somewhat made history. It was an amazing experience, something I'll never forget. 18,000 people.
Yes, I mean, in Madison Square Garden,
The Mecca of entertainment.
the Mecca of basketball,
New
just the
York
Mecca of,
City.
yes, New York City. And honestly, that right there was inspiring enough. Seeing it on film,
Yeah.
seeing the smile, seeing the essence on stage. This isn't just a regular social. This was Madison Square Garden. And honestly, I want to thank you because what you did, not a lot of others were able to do.
It was an amazing opportunity. Enriching. It definitely took the self-doubt out of my dancing, and that's the number one critic.
Yes,
You're
self-doubt.
always your number one critic.
Yes,
As a dancer. And
that
it's,
is
it's really
true.
hard to get over. That's one thing you got to get over to prosper and make yourself better.
That is true. And I would say this, I would like to know, Matt, in terms of the salsa scene, what do you feel that this scene has given to you as a person?
I felt it gave me direction. I felt before I danced, I really didn't have too much direction in my life. I was doing a lot of different things, good and bad, and it really opened a lot of doors for me. It gave me discipline. I started a company off of it. I now have Clementi Dance Shoes. Um, I'm trying to have affordable, fashionable shoes for men because I know there's not a lot for us.
Yes.
There's hundreds and thousands of styles for women,
That is true.
but when you come across a men's shoe, we got black, we got white, we got brown.
Yes.
That's about it. So soon, midsummer around that, I'm gonna have a launch party. I'm gonna have my website. Everything's gonna be going good, and I'm gonna take over New York.
That is amazing. And trust me, Latin Chronicles, you have 100% support.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
because
Definitely.
that right there is just enriching the scene even more. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, in our scene, it's kind of catered to women in terms of fashion.
Yep.
What we have is shoes. Mainly, you just think about women's dance shoes,
course.
sparkles, and
Of course.
everything. But in terms of men's shoes, it's very scarce.
Mhm.
So I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
on a entrepreneur side, and
Yeah,
that's
yes.
something different. Besides a dancer, you're an entrepreneur.
And that's what salsa gave back to me. You know what I mean?
Yes, the direction.
Of course.
And one thing I can say is that what separates you from a lot of other dancers is that I see discipline. We have today in the scene is a lot of dancers lack the discipline, from my point of view. We have many dancers that move with the music and are creative, but in terms of discipline and understanding what they're getting themselves into in the professional realm, sometimes that's things that they lack. And also a sense of humility is, I feel, lacks in the scene. And I think you, coming from MDN, Marcus Nieves Dance Studio, that there shows the level of expectation that comes there and the sense of maturity.
Yeah.
And that is something that should be definitely looked up
You
on.
know what I think for every dancer that a lot of things we lack, especially in New York City, is foundation, because a lot of people come from different genres of different dancers of different dance companies. So Monday they're taking a lesson here, Tuesday they're taking another lesson with this instructor. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with branching out and getting something from everyone. But if you have no foundation, if you're dancing on two and you don't even know who Eddie Torres is, then you're nothing in this scene. And that's literally, I have a great foundation. I mean, I've been with Marcus Nieves for 5 years. He was the last generation of Eddie Torres dancers, and we're in New Jersey. So it's a whole nother thing out there. People look at Jersey like, oh, we're not New York. But I feel that we're something special, you know, because we have to train even harder. We have to come out to New York and represent.
Yes,
'cause
it's
they're
almost
like,
that quintessential chip on the shoulder.
Of course, and you know how New York is.
Yes.
New York is not welcoming. I've been to Houston, I've been to DR. When you go to these conferences, they're welcoming. When Eddie Torres steps on the stage, people get up and you have standing ovations. I've been to Milan. As soon as Eddie Jr., as soon as Adolfo, as soon as Eddie Torres Sr. steps on stage, people get up. You get out of your seats. We take that for granted because we see him and he's here in New York City. He's in the Mecca, so we've seen him at socials, we've seen him at congresses. And people take take that for granted. But at the end of the day, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if he wasn't here.
And
so you really need to appreciate him while he's here.
Yes.
There's not going to be many years left of him as a dancer, you know?
And that is true. And Eddie Torres Jr., his son, is furthering that legacy.
Brother, he got the crown.
Yes.
He got the crown right now.
And that is true.
And I single-handedly experienced that in the 2 weeks I trained with him for this Madison Square Garden, because there was nothing like it. Just to see how he treats his dancers, the discipline and the training, and what he threw at us in 2 weeks, it was probably one of the most enriching things in my life that I've ever experienced.
Yes,
and I'm grateful for that right now. And I'm grateful for him to be here. And he's young.
Yes.
He's young and doing this.
And
he's 21 years old doing this.
Oh my God!
His father, was double that age.
Yeah.
I'm not counting numbers, but older than what he is now. So
Yes, and I say this is one thing I truly respect about you is your honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this profession that we do, some people are nervous to be honest about their opinions.
Yeah.
And realizing is that our opinions are ours, and it's up to those to accept them, internalize them,
Yes.
and learn from them. Because we have to realize that Eddie Torres Sr. is our Muhammad Ali of salsa.
He's our legit Mambo King.
Yes.
That's not his name for no reason.
Yes, he is the Mambo King.
Yes.
And the fact that you are able to learn from one of the last generations of Eddie Torres dancers is truly remarkable. Marcus Nieves, his choreography, his studio is class A.
And I appreciate it every day. He literally 100% changed my life.
Yes, and
100%.
at this moment, what can you tell a person who is new to the scene or a novice in dancing and wants to take a dive into this?
That they should really learn their history. They should know, where we all came from, where the generation before us came from, and the generations and generations before them, the Palladium era, who paved the way for what we do, Mambo D, all these people that people don't even look at twice now. When you see them come out on stage, get up, get out of your seat, appreciate what you're witnessing, because they're not going to be here for that much longer. And if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for their styles, if it wasn't for their moves, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. And a lot of people don't understand that because they got chips on their shoulder, and you learn a couple Suzy Q's in a downtown and you think you're the shit.
And essentially,
but
you are right.
You're not even touching the water. You're not even in deep yet. You know what I mean?
And believe it or not, as they say, the old saying, kind of still wet behind the ears,
Of course,
in a sense.
of course.
Yes, Matt, what you are saying, I heartily believe. From my years in the scene, I've watched you and others grow and mature. And again, you guys are, right now, the generation of salsa.
Yeah.
The generation of the past is still the generation.
And I believe we have to show the newcomers, and we have to relive the old and really pass it down to them, And it's amazing that Eddie Jr. is doing that, because I honestly believe he's one of the last people left, After Eddie Torres isn't performing, after your Adolfos are gone, after Marcus Nieves is gone, like, who's left, If you don't really grasp it now, then what do we have?
Yes, and
what do we have?
that is the truth, in a sense. And we realize that people like Adolfo, Mambo D, Frankie Martinez, Franklin Diaz,
all of them.
Thomas Guerreros,
Yes.
Osmal Perones.
Yep.
These are the people that inspired us. And what I feel you and others are doing is inspiring others in the right way, just like they did.
It's true.
And I believe is that 5, 10, 15, even 20 years from now, I believe you will be talked about in the same breath as them. Because just by this interview alone, you understand the history. understand the legacy and you understand the progress.
Yes.
And you are being taught by a world-renowned teacher, but a historian.
Yeah.
And
And
before
he
we
lets us know.
yes, and before we go, I just want to know what are some future projects or future ideas even that you have for yourself as a dancer.
You know, eventually I would like to do my own thing. I actually live in Central Jersey. There's not much around us dancing wise. You have to either go to North Jersey to get a good school, or you have to come to New York. So I want to bring that to Central Jersey. You know, under Marcus's guidance, I want to open a school, and I want to pass this legacy on. And at the end of the day, I have a lot of people that always come up to me, and you know, race aside, but they'll be like, "You're white." And I'll come up to them and I'll be like, "Yes," and they'll be like, "Oh, well, how do you dance so well?" And I tell them, I'm like, because people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, well, you know, this is in your blood." And I was like, "No, it's not in your blood. It's in your soul. 'Cause if
Exactly.
you have soul and you have discipline, and you know, you put the arrogance aside and you just learn and you grasp everything you can, then you'll exceed too." You know?
That is definitely true because
There's
again,
no race in this.
we all bleed the same blood.
And you see around the world, there's Asians, there's all genres
Yes.
of
All
of
nationalities,
nationalities
races, and
coming
creeds.
together. You
Yes,
go around
yes.
the world, it's amazing, and that's what we got to do. We
And
got to show them how it is, you know.
Definitely. And again, to be honest, this interview has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I've learned a lot from it. And again, I want to thank you, Mr. Matt Clemente.
Thank you, man. You're the man. Pass it on, brother.
Yes, man. So again, this is Diamond Rivera of Latin Chronicles. I want to thank you again, Matt. I want to thank you, audience, and have a good night.
Thank you.